all riflemen to drop ships. This is not a drill.
My name is Jack Cooper, and I'm no pilot. I was just in the right place at the wrong time.
Hey kids, do you like cool mechs? Do you like fast-paced shooters that reward you for playing with finesse? Are you tired of having your favorite Twitch shooter feeling the same year after year after year? Then look no further than Respawn Entertainment's Titanfall 2. Titanfall, for those that don't know, is a fast-paced first-person shooter from the minds of Respawn Entertainment, who's mostly made up of ex-Infinity Ward developers, most famously known for making a few of the Call of Duty games. Titanfall takes place in a futuristic setting where a ragtag group of rebels called the Frontier Militia fights for the peace and freedom of the frontier colonies. The main enemy the militia fights is the IMC, or the Interstellar Manufacturing Corporation, who they say have claims to the entirety of the frontier worlds. In the single-player campaign, you play Militia Titan pilot Jack Cooper, which if you think sounds a little generic, well, that's because it is. Yes, you heard that right. There's actually a single-player campaign this time around, which is something that the fans have been asking for, and Respawn gladly gave it to us. Now, Cooper really just plays the role of action hero man, but he does it competently, especially with his right-hand man, BT-7274, a militia titan. Titans are the eponymous mechs of Titanfall, and also their biggest gameplay gimmick. Now, while Jack might not be an interesting guy, the relationship he shares with BT is definitely interesting. Playing through the game, you'll learn to become besties with your mech buddy, and it has a lot of Iron Giant vibes. I'm not gonna lie, I am a big sucker for the human-robot companion bromance. Every time Jack gives BT a thumbs up only for BT to return the favor just warms my heart.
BT! Got you.
In reality, it might seem a little generic, but Titanfall 2's campaign is one of those where you just kinda take a backseat and enjoy yourself. Now that doesn't mean that the game isn't interesting or run-of-the-mill. The main facet of Titanfall's gameplay comes from its speed, maneuverability, and of course, the Titans. Titanfall 2's campaign takes all of these facets into consideration and implements them in fun and brilliant ways. If you were to say that I would get a single-player campaign for a first-person shooter that actually made me stop and think to solve a puzzle in 2016, I would say you're nuts. But holy hell, it actually happened with Titanfall 2. There's actually a few areas in the game where you have to think outside the box and take full advantage of your abilities to traverse an area, and the way they let you learn is great. Of course, after a run-of-the-mill tutorial level that teaches you how to do things like wall run, double jump, and slide, you're tasked with putting good use to those abilities in the first mission. Naturally and conveniently, the planet you're on just happens to have nice long cliff faces to wall run and tons of rocky holes to slide through. Now this is my favorite way to learn and get used to game mechanics, not by hand-holding pressureless scenarios, but by throwing you into the world and learn how to get good at the game by stopping your imminent demise. Not too long later, you'll get your Titan BT-7274 up and running, and you'll practically have all the tools at your disposal. Occasionally, you'll come across some bosses, all of which spice up the Titan vs. Titan gameplay with their unique abilities and personalities. Now, the extent of their unique personality varies on how you look at them. They can seem very shallow with just a typical cocky pilot personality. Now to me, these cocky pilots just paint a homage to the villain of the week antagonists of shows like Mobile Suit Gundam, where there would be some pilot or mercenary who'll call out the pilot and fight him. The only thing that would make him more mecha is if they had beam sabers.
You were not invited to Kane's party, and that's why you're dead. Well, another runaway hero. With an SRS Vanguard class Titan. Woo! Now we're talking! Bringing a knife to a knife fight.
Let's get this party started, scrub.
And it really is nice that Respawn put the love and craft into making a single player campaign. While it can be a little short, being around 6 to 8 hours long, it makes full use of those 6 to 8 hours. There's never really a moment when you aren't engaged, aren't doing something fun like scaling a massive communications complex, fighting other mercenary pilots, blasting guys from slick wall runs and power slides, and becoming a great companion to your friend BT. Though I do think the campaign feels short, but that's not because I felt robbed, it's because I want more. I want to play through more cool areas, I want to progress the Jack-BT relationship further, and I want to know what happens to that one guy at the end of the game, damn it. But in the end, we have to thank Respawn for actually going through the effort of making such a great campaign in a world where it would have otherwise been just half-assed. Now it's time to talk about the main portion of Titanfall 2, the multiplayer. If you haven't played the original, I would classify Titanfall as a fast-paced first-person shooter that's much faster than Battlefield, but a lot more tactically and strategically minded than Call of Duty. For example, the movement is a lot more fluid, it's fast, and the maneuverability with the wall runs, power slides, and double jumps are much greater than Battlefield. While in comparison to Call of Duty, the game, while fast, requires a bit more cognitive analysis of your environment. You're encouraged to go fast, but you can also slow down and take a look around to grab a better understanding of your surroundings. I also find that the time to kill is significantly longer than in Call of Duty, but you can still be killed pretty quickly. But I feel that if the initial attacker is sloppy, you can still get the upper hand, and personally I find that a much more fun experience. Now, I'm not knocking on people who enjoy either Call of Duty or Battlefield. Matter of fact, I did a review of Battlefield 1 the other day, and I really enjoyed it. Though I will say that Titanfall has probably the most innovative gameplay out of the three. Battlefield 1 had some significant changes, a lot had to do with the setting, and it felt rather refreshing. Infinite Warfare, from what little I played, seemed like a good old Call of Duty game, so surely the fans will enjoy it. But Titanfall just felt the most refreshing out of the three, and continues to start to feel like its own thing. Hell, one day it might be that instead of being compared to Call of Duty or Battlefield, Titanfall will be a third axis that some shooters may be compared to. Now, the defining feature that is in the damn name of the title is the inclusion of the eponymous Titan. This time around, instead of 3, we get 6 Titans that all play very different from each other. We get Ion, which is a Titan based around energy weapons. It sports an ion cannon and has a giant screw-you laser as its core ability. There's Tone that has lock-on tracer rounds and rockets, whose core ability is to hover in the air briefly and launch a huge volley of rockets at a target. Scorch is based around, well, fire weaponry. He has a thermite launcher and can gorilla pound the ground, kicking up dirt and producing a thermite stream. Legion has a giant minigun that can have a small protective shield and has a core ability that basically turns his minigun into a smart gun from Aliens. There's North Star that has a chargeable railgun so you can set up precise shots and can eventually fly briefly with the flight core. And finally, there's my favorite but the single hardest Titan to play, Ronin. Ronin is a small, nimble Titan with the weakest armor, but sports a phase core to teleport briefly, a shotgun, and my favorite, a big-ass sword. I've only really successfully played Ronin a handful of times, but when you activate the sword core and go ham on people, I can see the little images of the Mobile Suit Gundam / Mecha game that I've always wanted to play. While some are harder to play than others, they are all a blast to play and really add a fun dynamic to the shooter. As a pilot, having to go through fun, fast-paced first-person shooter action to start accumulating your Titan, watching Titans drop down from orbit, or trying to get away from an enemy Titan is an exhilarating experience. And once you get to the endgame, when a team claims victory, the match will then go into an epilogue phase, where the defeated has to flee to the extraction point and defend the dropship before it leaves the game, while the attackers are tasked with hunting down the rest of the remaining enemy players. Respawn has developed these epilogues in a way where it's just as fun to lose as it is to win, and in some cases I would say it's actually more fun to lose. While the multiplayer is pretty great, I do have a few, though minor, gripes. For one, a lot of the weapons don't feel too distinct from each other apart from the basic difference of rifles, shotgun, pistols, etc. While not terribly awful, I do wish that Respawn would have put more time to make the weapons feel a little more distinct, like they did with the Titans. Now, while the Titans do feel distinct, a lot of them are rather unbalanced. For example, Tone and Legion, the 2 last Titans to be unlocked, are definitely the best of the 6 available. Tone's homing weaponry only requires a few shots to lock on, and once it does, you can unleash a flurry of missiles that'll take a good chunk of your health out. As for Legion, the smart gun will rip and tear through anything in its path. To make matters worse, once it has the shield up, it's unstoppable for a few moments. Though these imbalances could be changed with some minor tweaks, it definitely sets the course of a game. In some matches, you get tired of seeing Tones, Legions, and Scorches on the field. Another real gripe I have is that two of the maps I'm not a big fan of, specifically Crash Site and Complex. Crash Site is set in the wreck of a space vessel in a close confined canyon, and there's almost no space for the Titans, and it allows a lot of camping. Complex is inside the narrow hallways of an office complex of all places, with tight corridors. It also suffers the issues of Crash Site, with not a lot of space to maneuver and fight with your Titan. Though it did do something interesting, and now you have to drop your Titan in the few spaces where there are holes in the ceiling for it to crash through. All in all, these are a few minor gripes in an otherwise really well done game, and it shouldn't stop you from having a ton of fun. And best of all multiplayer DLC that has to do with maps, Titans, weapons, and any sort of change is 100% free. Yes, you heard me, free. As in, you don't have to pay EA your shekels, and DLC won't tamper with the existing player base. I'm not gonna lie, this is a very unprecedented move, especially from EA. But you really do have to give them props, especially when it would have been much easier and common to just have new maps come out in paid DLC. In the end, Titanfall 2 is a fantastic shooter very much worthy of your money. The game packs a great, fulfilling campaign, exhilarating, fast-paced multiplayer, and quite possibly the best mech infantry dynamic in any video game. Whether you're just a normal Joe who enjoys shooters or a longtime fan of the mecha genre like myself, there's something for everyone to enjoy in Titanfall 2. I'm glad to say Titanfall 2 gets an exquisite 9 out of 10. I will also give it the made up on the spot Mecha seal of approval. As if it really matters. Personally, Titanfall 2 is my favorite of the 3 big shooters this fall and is a strong contender for Game of the Year. If anything, when it goes on EA Trial or whatever it's called, I would definitely give it a try. Anyways, this is Tom the Chosen One fighting for the memory of Xeon, and I'll see you guys next time.